Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we'll be talking about those Chicago Bulls. Yeah, Chi-Town. We're witnessing the Bulls' best start since the 1996-97 season. This 5-0 run isn't a fluke or a soft schedule mirage. It's the direct result of a clear, I feel like, philosophical shift by Coach Billy Donovan and a roster that's been optimized for a specific hard-nosed identity. The blueprint for this early success, in my opinion, is built on two pillars. A schematic defense that might be elite and is choking a team's ability to score efficiently. And then obviously the quantum leap that Josh Giddey has become into a 3-level scorer who's warping the ability of an offense from transition to half court to him getting to the free throw line. Will Josh Giddey be an all NBA player and end up looking like the next guy with a Jalen Brunson-esque contract that he's underpaid? And I know it's 5 games, but the numbers back up this eye test, baby. This isn't just an elite team getting hot. They're playing high-quality basketball, efficient basketball. They rank 4th in the league in true shooting percentage at almost 62%. 5th in overall field goal percentage at 50%. And the real story is on the other side of the ball. We already knew this team could play good offense, okay? We saw that last year when they got rid of Zach LaVine. But no, baby, it's the defense. They're the league best at running opponents off the 3-point line. Yes, they're holding them to a blistering 30% from deep. And I know some people are going to be like, albeit they are just purely kind of looking out because people are still putting up a large amount of their shots at 3 and they're just missing them. But hey, if you're contesting them and they're missing the shots, that's fine if they're putting up the shots. They're missing them. That ain't your fault. And I think Billy Donovan's discipline, or the way that this team is disciplined on the defensive end, is just allowing them to go ahead and play at the point of attack and be a team that is better defensively than you would think if you saw what they were on paper compared to how they actually play in person. Now, season-wise, I mean, Zach Collins hopefully comes back, and like season-wise, I do hope that the interior defense doesn't cause, room for concern. However, they are physically imposing their will on the rebounding side of the ball. They hit the boards, baby, almost a 6 rebounding margin. And you have a team that is just controlling the glass, physically imposing their will. Okay, when you physically impose your will, you demoralize the opponent. You deteriorate their will to go for a rebound. They just feel like, oh, I won't make that play. Oh, I get a second chance opportunity on the offensive side. Oh, I get a chance to start a fast break and, get easy offense on the fast break. The best defense is offense, and they're finishing possession. So I think that's a huge thing. But I do want to say a lot of this is because of Billy Donovan. I think Donovan has gone ahead and installed a clear and effective mandate, pace on offense, and a no middle principle on defense. Donovan has a group playing on fire. Like literally their hair must be on fire. Call these, what is this, the Human Torch of a team. They push the tempo to generate early offense before the opponent's defense gets set. This uptick in pace is a direct continuation from last year and is perfectly suited for the athleticism of Giddy and Matas Buzelis. Is it Matas Buzelis or Matas? I heard Matas the other day. I'm going to just say Buzelis. Somebody tell me. And the most impressive part of this balance is they are thriving without their projected leading scorer and going into the season, Kobe White, while consistently putting 7 players into double figures. And they have a 3-point percentage of 40%, which is middle of the pack. And their scheme is designed to generate high volume, clean looks. And they're putting up about 34 attempts from deep per game, outpacing their opponents. And they're creating these looks with smart off-ball actions, all right? Box sets, clear outs to spring shooters and cutters. Nikola Vucevic is a hub, all right, operating with a high post, with a high IQ as a passer who can run dribble handoffs or just, find cutters coming out of there in simple actions. And he's obviously continuing he's almost averaging 5 assists a game, but he's continuing to be the efficient scorer that we know, almost 60% effective field goal percentage, or regular field goal percentage on 20 points a game, and he's still a good touch from deep and inside, and he has that connective tissue that makes the half-court offensive hum playing off of Josh Giddey. And then defensively, they are a fortress on the perimeter. Yeah, they might not have the typical interior defenders that you want, but man, the point of attack at the perimeter is what they're doing. They're basically having these guys who are kind of funneling ball handlers to the baseline and making them take the tough shots. And that 30% opponent three-point percentage, even though teams are taking a large volume from there, is no accident. This is what I'm talking about. Contested shot frequency. If you can just contest shots at a high rate, you're going to make people miss shots. And I think this is a direct result of Donovan's, what we're calling the no middle defensive scheme, which funnels ball handlers towards the baseline, packs the paint, and dares teams to beat them with contested three-point jumpers. The team's rotational discipline and commitment to late closeouts has been exceptional. This isn't gambling defense that we've seen other teams do. They're modest at blocking shots 4.5 a game, and their steals are about 7.6 per game. And they're winning with their positioning on defense and staying honest and not risking plays and just doing what you can and contesting shots. Hey, we'll get to your spot. You can take that shot. We're going to be there and we're not going to foul you. And I think the front office gave Donovan some players that he needed in terms of personnel to execute this. The acquisition of Isaac Okoro provides them with an elite perimeter stopper. This is an all defensive caliber player who can be a defensive anchor, as we've seen on the wing. And yes, he's had a limited role offensively, like 5 points per game, and that trade-off is there. But the clear defensive ability he can give, and even Patrick Williams playing good defense and playing a good offensive side, and same thing, Trey Jones also being a great defender, or that they have these rugged high nose IQ defenders that set the tone and basically build this defense that not only do you have a few guys who really are the cogs in that machine, but then you get the other guys who aren't as good offense or defensively to play better because they see what somebody like a Isaac Okoro or Trey Jones is doing, or Patrick Williams. And that allows, even though like Josh Giddey isn't as bad as a defender as people want to make you think he is, like, dude, he's still like 6'8" almost. It's like he's someone that you can put out there. It's not like he's 5'11". He's going to be hunted like Facundo Campazzo was. And the single biggest factor, I think, in all of this is the Bulls' offensive jump is the evolution of Josh Giddey. He continued to do what he was doing last season after they got rid of Zach LaVine, averaging what was like 25 points, 7 and 7. And he's no longer a non-shooter you can help off of. All right. He's a bona fide 3-level scoring, a team's primary engine who's going to be an all-star and might as well be an all-NBA player if he plays like this for the rest of the season. Like his stat line of 22 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. And the key is the shooting. The guy's shooting 45. I don't know why I said it like that. 45.5% from 3 on 4.5 attempts per game. This isn't, 5-game heater. I think this is a direct continuation of that 46% shooting post all-star break. And this is a legitimate mechanical change, a legitimate philosophical change in his mentality that justifies the $100 million extension potentially becoming an underpay. And now defenses have to honor. They can't sag off on the perimeter, as he's going to just shoot over them. They have to go over the screens. He's completely unlocked his game. And in transition, the guy's always been a nightmare, and we're seeing it. He's no longer the slob wizard of Oz, all right? He's in Emerald City, baby. Winning City. Now, the defenders are closing out hard, and then Josh Giddey has the court vision, the playmaking, to take advantage of that. That creates wider driving lanes. The pick and roll game and the pick and pop game with Vucevic is deadly, who's a great rebounder, almost 9, who's a great rebounder in his own right, Vucevic and Giddy. And Giddy's out here averaging 9 rebounds a game, leading all Eastern Conference guards. And that ignites a fast break because he gets the ball and he goes coast to coast, or he can find an open guy on a kick out, or do a ball slip, or have a guy help him on a ball slip and he drops it off to the guy who pops off the ball slip. And I think he's fully embraced this floor general role that we always knew he could do, but in OKC, he was never going to have the opportunity to do that. And the offense is playing great, and he's shooting almost 59% true shooting, and Kobe White hasn't even played. Imagine when Kobe White comes back. So I think Donovan is pushing the right buttons with his rotation and is creating a cohesive two-way unit with the core of Giddy, Buzelis, and Vucevic. This is a great shot creation, three-point shooting, athleticism, and some inside savvy, with Buzelis being a guy who's getting inside, being a slasher who can dribble, penetrate. The sophomore leap into a full-time starter, averaging 16 points a game, 61% two-point shooting, and he's attacking the rim, finishing with authority. That athleticism at display. This guy might be an all-star, and he's a guy who also isn't a bad defender who can guard 1 through 4. I mean, 2 through 4. Maybe 1 through 4. Maybe one day he can guard some 5s realistically well. And we already know the steady, efficient offensive player that Vucevic is. But then you got also Okoro and Jones, who's giving you the defensive grit that gives you that complementary identity. And then the bench mob, baby. The second unit is a weapon. They're actually using Stick Smith. I saw Stick Smith fucking play. And they're a deep, energetic, and they've outright won games with their bench unit, dropping 58 points in one contest. Ayo Dosunmu is someone that I love and someone who should be a front runner in the Sixth Man of the Year race. 16 points a game, 57% from the field, 47% from three. Then you got Kevin Huerter, who came off of last year already shooting great when he got to the Bulls, and he's continuing to do it. And those two offer connected passing and spacing. Patrick Williams, a guy who brings some defense, rebounding, and shooting. And I feel like there's no drop off whenever they put somebody in the bench. And I know people have to be honest about some of the concerns. The schedule has been favorable, and the league leading 30% opponent three-point shooting is almost certain to regress. However, with the personnel and the scheme, they are built to be a good defensive team. They're not going to be historically great, but I think their dominant rebounding will mitigate some of that regression. And I think the most glaring weakness of this team is their turnovers. Okay, they're averaging 16 turnovers a game. That's 10th worst in the NBA, and I think that's a direct byproduct of the high pace that they play in, the up-tempo offense, and it's a critical flaw that will cost them some wins against elite teams. And Josh Giddey himself is averaging 3.2 turnovers. So cleaning this up is a non-negotiable thing that needs to be done if they are going to have long-term success this season. And obviously the biggest looming question is the integration of Kobe White, and he's obviously in a contract year and he's extension eligible. Will they trade him to get somebody better, or somebody that they think will push him over the edge, or is just compensation so they don't lose him uncompensated? And if he does come back and they keep him, where does he fit? Plugging in a high usage scorer like White into the starting lineup could disrupt the defensive chemistry built by Jones, Okoro, or Patrick Williams. And the smart move may be to start having White come off the bench as a six man initially and let him supercharge the second unit, ensuring him as an elite creator when he's on the floor, and that there's one always on the floor at all times without sacrificing the starting group's defensive identity. And I think this 5-0 start is legit. It's built on the system, the personnel fit, and it's not luck. Giddy's ascension and Donovan's defensive scheme are the real deal. I think the biggest thing is the turnover rate could become a crisis. Drills must emphasize decision-making, critical thinking, and precision. And even if it means slightly tempering the pace, you can't gift wrap possessions and expect to win in May. And I think the other thing is when Kobe White returns, the integrity of the starting defense must be a priority. If he starts, the group's defensive metrics obviously could take a hit, and if that happens, you got to understand when you should leverage scoring, when you should leverage defense, and this might be a case that the second unit may be the optimal path for him to return. And I think doubling down on the duo of Josh Giddey and Buzelis as the partnership of the future may be the real deal, as they also have the eventual return of Zach Collins, who he's on an expiring contract, but he's another guy who could be a complementary piece to this team and the defensive toughness. But I think they've set a really good foundation for the year, and I wonder how it's going to go. So let me hear your thoughts down below. That's it for me, guys. If you guys made it to the end of the video, let me hear what you guys have to say. Bye.